It only seems fair that with 5 of the 11 defensive starters from the Super Bowl now departed the Eagles, that at the end of this show, one of the 3 of us will also be kicked to the curb. Find out who it is next on the PHLY Eagles Show. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the PHLY Eagles Show on a beautiful Tuesday afternoon. Bo Wulf, Fran Duffy, Zach Berman, the second day of the legal tampering period, and another day in which the Eagles have seen one of their key players leave, this time by trade. We talked about it a little bit earlier, but we can dive into it more in this episode as we also figure out what else is going on around the league. CJ Gardner-Johnson, no longer an Eagle, traded to the Houston Texans for a swap of day 3 picks in 2026 and Kenyon Green, the 15th overall pick in the 2022 draft, 2021 draft. But 22. You was right the first time.
You were right the first time.
Yep. 23.
Be confident. You were right.
24.
22.
25. Super.
We're
5.
We're broadcasting for our jobs today, so you got me a little worried.
That's the thing. It's like YouTube,
surprise, it's going to be me.
That one of the things on YouTube is if you say something to tease, you have to follow through. So I guess we're going to find this out.
Well, I mean, somebody can leave at the end. It doesn't mean forever.
I hope not.
CJ Gardner-Johnson back. Well, CJ Gardner-Johnson will probably be back next year with the Eagles, right?
Just one on, one off.
One on,
every
one
year.
off. I mean, it's a very tempestuous relationship. The sex must be amazing. Anyway, let's talk about... Here's my question. I mean, they got to the 2 Super Bowls. Here's my question with CJ Gardner-Johnson.
Yes.
We talked about this on the Anthony Gargano show. This is the time when they tell the truth.
Yeah.
I know that, as you have framed it, Zach, CJ Gardner-Johnson probably wanted an extension. He is, by the level of play on field, probably underpaid at this point. He's still young. He probably deserves an extension. But there is something to the fact that this is now 5 teams in 5 years. How much do you think this was the Eagles just sort of, we can't do this anymore. We got to move on. We got to figure out something a little bit more stable in our locker room.
It's a fair question.
Is that unfair?
No, it's a fair question. I can't sit here today and say that was the impetus for it.
I mean, is this trade really being made because of the Twitter spat between him and Darius
No,
Slay?
I don't think it's anything like that. I do think this is more financially motivated than football motivated.
Okay.
Now, not to say that...
Or culture motivated. You think it's
No,
it's
I think
really
it's
the
more
contract.
financial motivated
Yes.
than it is culture motivated.
Yes.
Now, you can say in professional football, finances and culture tend to blend together at some point.
True, good point.
But I think that we've been talking about this now for a few months, how the Eagles were prepared to make difficult decisions. And there is, I think, a perception that the Eagles are so good at contracts, they can fit everyone in. That's not the case. Like, there's only so many big contracts you can have on your books. And in addition to that, they do midterm and long-term planning. This is not a front office that is planning to be gone after the season, right? So it's not as if it's like 2025 or bust here in Philly. So they look at some of these contracts coming up. I think the big one's Jalen Carter, right? And they recognize that if you give an extension to somebody now, or you give an extension to someone after this season, that's money that's coming away from money that from contracts you have to give out, number one. And then number two, there are positions where that are going to be in transition in the next few years where the Eagles might want to add. There are contracts that are low cap numbers now that are swelling. The Eagles prepare for the cap rising, but they also recognize that they can't pay second and third contracts at every spot. And I think safety is one of those spots where they were resigned to the fact that they weren't going to be able to pay both these guys. And I would imagine CJ Gardner-Johnson's contract would have been expensive.
So let's actually talk this through, the long-term planning of it. next offseason, you're doing a monster Jalen Carter deal, most likely. The following offseason.
Potentially Nolan Smith as well.
Potentially, you could do Nolan Smith next offseason, or you could do it the following offseason. I guess you're probably doing it next offseason. The year after that, you're probably doing Cooper DeJean.
And Quinyon. Or
maybe you wait a year on
thing,
Quinyon because he has the 5th-year option, right? But you probably don't pay one of them without paying
that's
the other.
what I'm saying.
So,
Maybe it's like the same day. Yeah.
Which is also part of the reason why I kind of think it's low key that they might go offense early in this year's draft because at some point the scales are going to change, right? But so those are all big deals. Jalen Hurts is not going anywhere. AJ Brown's not going anywhere. Devontae Smith's not going anywhere. Those big contracts are going to still be there. So that is definitely part of it. But from a football standpoint, how concerned are you about filling out the rest of this defense right now?
Well, I'm concerned from they don't play until September. I get that. This is a team that has a dubious recent history at safety. Like that's fair to say. And CJ Gardner-Johnson helped fix that. The years when they've been good at safety since Malcolm left is when they had CJ Gardner-Johnson on their team. I don't think that's coincidence. And there is a leap to suggest that Sidney Brown is ready for that job. Now we'll see. Yeah. We'll see if they add a veteran. We'll see if they draft somebody. We'll see if they trade for someone. Like there's still a handful of moves that could be made. But on the surface, and Howie Roseman has tried to telegraph this, he said more than ever, the young guys are going to have to play. Sidney Brown, a high 3rd-round pick, is one of those young guys who I think they want to see play. And it's a leap to suggest that they'll get starting level production from him when we haven't seen that in the 2 years he's been here.
Yeah, Fran, what would worry you more week 1? Starting Sidney Brown at safety or Keely Ringo at outside corner?
I think in this defense, it would probably be, so I would say in this defense, it would be Sidney Brown because they put so much on the safeties in this defense. That said, when you have the talent that you have at Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, and Dainez made this point on Friday, whoever the third corner is,
going to get peppered.
If it's not someone that's pedigreed, they're going to get peppered. And so you want to make sure that guy is up to the task. Now, in year 3 for Keely Ringo, you would anticipate that all right, if the time's going to happen, you would imagine that right now is the time for that to take place.
What did you think of Sidney Brown coming out?
I gave him a backup grade. I wasn't as high on him from a late day 2. I saw him more as like a mid day 3.
Red star player for the Eagles.
Well, that was and that's the thing is like I didn't see him I didn't know that quality in terms of the character with him, but I think that we've seen some of the limitations there in terms of the volatility playing downhill as a tackler. I know he got used in the slot as a rookie.
Yeah.
That has never been a role where I saw him thrive, and even like watching him in that rookie season. They played a lot of underneath zone coverage, and that's fine. But you're not going to ask him to play one-on-one against slot receivers the way you ask Cooper DeJean to. Like that's not Sidney Brown's game. And so, I see him as more of a backup.
I want to the Sidney Brown experience. Boy, is it fun to watch.
Yeah.
I mean, he plays so hard. He's running full speed on every single snap. Does not care about his body. At all. Plays with complete abandon. And so, if it works. Boy, is he going to be like a fan favorite. He's going to be so awesome to watch. But it is also true that the injury is part of it, but he did not ingratiate himself to Vic Fangio this year. I would be surprised if there's not a little bit of a tension between Howie Roseman and Vic Fangio just in terms of how they see Sidney Brown. I am not convinced that this move definitely means that they're paving the way for Sidney Brown.
I agree with you there.
Yeah,
okay.
I agree with that too.
Yeah, I'm just not sure that it's like a surefire starter that they sign, that they turn around. It could be an aging veteran like a Justin Simmons type.
Yeah. It
could be a younger rotational guy who's competing with him. But when the Eagles have gone after your Anthony Harris, Terrell Edmonds, it hasn't worked exceedingly well.
No.
Now, Fran has pointed out there's some good safeties in this draft. It's not in the Eagles' nature to take safeties early. As we've seen, like they struggle with Jaquan Jarrett. Nate Allen was fine, but other than that,
over a decade ago.
But I'm saying the past decade, they haven't taken safeties in the first 2 rounds. Sidney Brown was the earliest safety they had taken. We
did say the same thing last year though about corner.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. So it could be a year.
But I
when they
think
do.
even then we cautioned about corner, that they
Right.
had been
Yes.
willing to take a corner
Yeah.
early. It had been circumstantial. Whereas I don't know that first round, Malachi Starks would be a different conversation because,
Right.
they've got all the touch points on Georgia. He would seem to fit, but I think they are probably a little bit tepid on that front. But we'll see.
But I did want to follow up with you on this idea that you had about, I don't know if tension's the right word, but like the evaluation might be different.
Tension is probably too strong. I don't mean to say that there is like emotional tension.
No, but
just that I think they probably view them differently.
Yeah, but with Sydney, I would agree.
Yeah.
But my guess is that they're not moving on from CJ Gardner-Johnson unless Vic Fangio is saying like, yeah, we can survive without CJ.
Yeah.
I think that's true. Yeah. I don't think that is Vic loves somebody in the building necessarily, but I think he's okay with no longer having CJ Gardner-Johnson.
Like I think, and due respect to Sean Desai, when Sean Desai was here, I didn't think he had much juice with personnel. I think that Vic Fangio has juice with personnel.
Yeah.
Same thing with this coaching staff.
Well, you talk about the juice in the building because what I would say is, from my understanding, CJ Gardner-Johnson's biggest champion in that building was Nick Sirianni.
Yes.
Like Nick Sirianni loves
Exactly.
CJ Gardner-Johnson, loves the energy he brings, loves the competitiveness, as you would say, the competitive zeal that he brings on the field. And so that's a little bit interesting to me. Now, I think he probably also understands that if CJ Gardner-Johnson wants this money, we can't afford to pay him. We don't value him at that. Better to move on now. But it is just interesting that I would say he is the guy who would be most in his corner.
That is fair. See, he has been a champion for CJ, and look, he's aware of if there are any locker room dynamics. I can't speak to that. There clearly was something weird going on with Slay and with CJ.
And then Slay retweeted a thing today,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly. Yeah. Look, I do think Slay's point last week, and we talked about it. I think Reed Blankenship has a lot of respect in that locker room, and I think the veterans in that room view Reed Blankenship as like the leader in that locker room. And you have pointed out in your reporting in the past that when CJ came here, at first some of those veterans had to be like, "Whoa, hold up, you're not in charge here."
Right.
This is the kind of supplement the conversation. I'm not deviating from it, but when I was driving in, I was thinking about this because there is this thought from fans and certainly from some radio hosts, why don't they just run it back? And you've pointed out to me in the past that there, and correct me if I'm wrong or kind of explain this forward, that defense's performance has more variability year to year than offense performance. Is that fair to say?
Very much so.
Yeah. So like the idea of bring everyone back on defense, it's hard to say you'll be the number one defense again because there's just more variability year to year. I think they want more continuity on offense than on defense.
Yeah.
For sure. Just look at what happened in 2023.
Yeah.
They brought that. They lost Javon Hargrave, right? I guess they lost the linebackers and a safety, Marcus Epps, but they brought back James Bradbury and Darius Slay. That didn't work out very well. Now, I think you would, if you're making the bull case for this defense, they're very young. You would think that those guys are still improving. But, 5 of the 11 guys who started the Super Bowl are now gone. So I don't think you can count on the defense being the best defense in football next year. I think you're just hoping that they are top quartile.
You probably weren't, and even if they bought 10 of the 11 back,
exactly.
Chances are they weren't going to be the number one defense in football anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
I also think too, we talk about Howie saying young guys need to play, and this goes to your point about how Howie and Vic might view a player. Howie historically has had an affinity for the players he's drafted, right, and has wanted to see them get opportunities.
As every GM probably
As every
does.
GM,
Right.
sure. My frame of reference is covering the Eagles.
Yeah.
That's where I'm curious to see how Vic kind of views the internal options at safety, the draft options, the free agent options. But safety is a spot we've seen in the past where you can sign veterans at reasonable rates. And I know Justin Simmons spoke to Pat Leonard, saying that he has his eyes on Christian Parker and Vic Fangio. But there are players who have backgrounds with Vic Fangio who could become available.
Justin Simmons, you mentioned. Julian Blackman is a possibility. Justin Reed is still out there. There are a few safeties. The rest of them are sort of 30 years or older or lesser players. Those are the 3 that jump out on the top. Do you think that they're going to sign somebody like that over the next couple of days?
Yeah, but I don't think major money.
Okay.
I think a small deal to like a Terrell Edmonds type deal is the way I would view it.
Yikes.
Or like an Anthony Harris type deal where you're not signing a guy you're signing a 1-year contract. You're signing a player on a 1-year deal to compete with the draft pick you have.
Yeah.
Now, we don't need to get into this a ton. We did mention it on the earlier show, but it's a question for Vic next time we talk to him, which I'm sure won't be for a while. But, does Cooper DeJean factor into this long-term planning at all? I don't know.
Well, you made the point, and I don't see it. I think I always viewed safety as the fail-safe option for DeJean.
Sure.
If it doesn't work at corner, and it's in year one, it worked really well. I think that it's more likely Cooper DeJean is an outside corner than a safety long-term.
All right, a couple super chats to check out here as everybody reacts to this big day. From Dinkelberg, I don't buy that they traded him to make room for extensions. They had Carter, Smith, Davis, and Juergens in the building already. When they signed CJ to the deal they did, they knew what was coming. I don't know if that's fair. I mean, Nolan Smith, a year ago, did not look like a player who you were going to be concerned about extending the earliest opportunity. I don't know that they're even going to do it with Jordan Davis. And I think you look at the way that this contract was structured, I mean, it's not onerous for them to move off of it right now. Are you surprised, Zach, at the value that they got in return? Do you think it's a little bit less than you might have expected?
No, I suppose it depends your evaluation of Kenyon Green.
Yeah.
If Houston was just giving him away, but no, when the contract came out, I remember you and I talking about it. We did an emergency show when the numbers came out and saying like they can get out of this after 1 year if this doesn't work. Like this is a team friendly deal, and I'm sure after the year he had, he probably recognizes that.
Yeah.
But is it Dinkelberg? To Dinkelberg's question,
the Honorable Dinkelberg.
I think a big difference here, Dinkelberg, is the Eagles, a year ago when they signed CJ Gardner-Johnson, would not have fathomed the world where 1 year later they would be giving a linebacker $16 million.
That's a really good point.
And Howie even alluded to this at the combine, where he's like, the way things happened this year kind of changed some of our planning.
Yeah.
I think the plan might have been for them to have inexpensive linebackers and maybe linebackers that they draft and develop on rookie deals. It was never to have a linebacker top 5 in the league.
So yeah, and he obviously signed before Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean were drafted. Milton Williams got $26 million a year yesterday. Myles Garrett signed for $40 million a year the day before. Where on that? Where is Jalen Carter closer to on that ledger? Is he closer to 40 or is he closer to 26 per year?
Well, it's going to have a 3 in front of it.
It's going to have a 3 in front of it.
I'll split the difference.
Yeah.
right? So
I think it's gonna be closer to the 40.
I think so too. I mean,
I was going to say 33 and a half and split the difference, right?
I think it's gonna be like $38 million a year.
Yeah, I mean
something crazy, right? Like,
and that's like the reality that
exactly right.
That's
but
the
if
reality.
the cap goes up another $15 million,
It's still money they got to pay though.
Yeah.
Well, listen, like the cash willingness is also a big factor here. The Eagles have always been out front with Jeffrey Lurie in terms of their cash spending relative to the rest of the league. That may not last forever. That's possible that's part of this calculation here. You talked, Zach, Howie sort of hinted at this kind of move at the combine, that these are the kinds of moves that they were going to have to make, preaching patience. Do you think that this move, the CJ Gardner-Johnson move, makes it more or less likely that Dallas Goedert finds a similar fate?
I don't think those two things are tied, but I'm thinking more and more that Dallas Goedert's not going to be here.
Okay.
I think the only way Dallas Goedert's back, I shouldn't say the only way, the way Dallas Goedert's back is if the rest of the league isn't as interested in Dallas Goedert as Dallas Goedert hopes they would be. The most comparable thing is Josh Sweat last year, as Fran pointed out earlier. I think you had said that, like the Josh Sweat situation.
We've done 10 shows.
Exactly.
Who knows who said what?
Yeah.
Who knows what
And
body
when it
part
was
belongs
said.
to who?
So it's go see what your market is. If there's a team willing to pay you and they'll give us a pick, then we'll make that move. But if there's not a team willing to pay him, then I think the compromise is a 1 year deal. You restructure a one-year deal. You guarantee the money this year at a lower number.
Go ahead.
Along the same, I asked the question about Jalen Carter. We know that Nolan Smith also, when we talked about would they extend him first or not, but where's Nolan Smith going to be? Because you're looking at him too. I mean, Dayo Dengbo got $16 million yesterday. Alex Highsmith got $17 million last summer. Chase Young got $17 million. Nolan Smith is going to be. I mean, Greg Rousseau got 20.
The Chase Young contract, maybe the worst of the offseason so far.
Yeah, it's
Depends.
up there,
I liked him coming out. So.
But I mean, but that's all that to say. Nolan Smith is going to be up there, $20 million. Like, it's they have some big contracts coming up that they have to make sure they take care of.
And then there's one. It's not an elevator. It's not an elephant in the room, but it's an elephant on the elevator right now. Like it might be coming to the room.
Jeez, that poor elevator. I think it's going to come crashing down.
We just got it fixed like a month ago. You want to break it again?
The elevator.
So-
can elephants go downstairs?
The Buffalo Bills ripped up Josh Allen's contract with 3 years left on it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Jalen Hurts is now the 10th highest paid quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah.
He just won the Super Bowl. There are guys who
that's
keep
true.
getting, like Tua makes more. There are guys who keep making more than Jalen Hurts. At what point does Jalen Hurts say, I just won I was Super Bowl MVP, right? Yeah. And so, or at what point do the Eagles say, like, Jalen, we want to get ahead of this the same way Buffalo got ahead of now. It's probably a year early for that. I think the Josh Allen deal was signed in 22. I don't know if it was 22 or 21, but Buffalo got ahead of him on the MVP contract year after the MVP season. But I think that's always something you have to keep in mind is that the more quarterbacks sign and Jalen goes down that list, Jalen will look up. He will presumably look around and say, like, wait, what about me?
Yep.
Is it horses who can only go upstairs but not downstairs? Is that right?
Is that right?
I thought it was like bears can't run up. They can't run downhill.
Okay. I
never
would
heard
assume
the
that
horses
elephants
thing.
are the same with stairs, but I think that's a thing with horses. Could be wrong.
They go
They
up
can
and
walk
not down.
upstairs, but they can't walk downstairs.
The momentum just.
Okay, so we missed on the player one thinks it's cows. It might be cows. That might be right. That might be right. I think it's one of those things where you hear like an urban legend of like a senior prank in high school where people they walked cows upstairs into a lobby and then they weren't able to get the cows out because they couldn't go down the stairs.
Did you do that?
Yeah, I was gonna say. What,
I just said
high school
urban
you
legend. I didn't heard the story.
Okay, yeah. I'll take your word
That's
for
what an urban legend is.
it. I'll take your word for it.
Talk about the things that I wouldn't trust an AI overview
Yeah,
on.
I mean,
Overview
ridiculous,
answer on this. I'm scrolling down a few links before I get the answer on this one.
All right, let's take a quick break to hear from our sponsors, and then let's come back on the other side, talk a little bit Cine, maybe, a little Oren Burks, and what else is going on around the NFL. TrueMark Financial. It's almost spring, baby, and that means it's time to spring into savings. If you have financial goals, whether it's buying a house, taking that dream vacation, or building your emergency fund, TrueMark Financial Credit Union has the perfect savings account for you. TrueMark Financial offers high-rate certificates and money market accounts to help your money grow faster and work harder for you. Visit TrueMark.com for rates and to learn more. That's TrueMark.com. Federally insured by the NCUA, rates are subject to change. Visit TrueMark.com for rates and to learn more. TrueMark Financial, federally insured by the NCUA, equal opportunity lender. Rates are subject to change.
A few weeks ago, we received a Slack message about a new partner of ours, and it's Timeline, and I'm told that it helps you live longer. And I said, sign me up. I'm running as fast as that cow is upstairs, or that horse is upstairs, because anything that helps you live longer, I am interested in, and that is Timeline. It's health longevity supplements featuring their proprietary MitoPure ingredient. I have it at home. I brought it home. I said, Emily, I'm going to live so long because of Timeline. The cells in our bodies are the building blocks of life. Timeline is a supplement that works with those cells, that helps give you energy, feel stronger during workouts, and preserve health and mobility as you start to age. I'm 38. I turn 39 later this month. I need all the help I can get, and that's where MitoPure comes in. It's a patented ingredient. It's a postbiotic nutrient that clears out dysfunctional mitochondria, aka your cells' battery packs. This might sound like I'm talking about ninth grade science. What I'm talking about here is something that helps you with regular use see and feel the difference in the form of improved energy levels, better workouts, or that recharges your cells, that helps your body system work better. And we all want our body system to work better. MitoPure is the only supplement clinically proven to rejuvenate health at the cellular level. It's shown to deliver double-digit increases in muscle strength and endurance without a change in exercise. That is a win. Get ready to be your best, most energized, most revitalized you. Right now, Timeline is giving you 10% off your order of MitoPure. Go to timeline.com/PHLY. And as I said, it's timeline.com/PHLY.
I like the tip from someone in the chat. If you are a senior in high school looking to pull this cow prank, you get 3 cows and you label them 1, 2, 4, just to make the people think.
Oh, there's another one.
That they
I like that.
really get them worried. I like that. Super chat for you, Fran, about how you viewed Lewis Cine coming out of the draft. Do you think that he is a realistic possibility to contend for a role in the defense?
Contend for a role, sure. And I think that there are people in the building that are excited about what he could be. Obviously, look, he was on the market in December when they brought him in for a reason. Right. This is a player that had high pedigree coming in. He was a big-time recruit coming out of high school. Was actually coached by Deion Sanders. Played with Shador at Trinity Christian in Texas. But 6'2", just under 200 pounds. I'll really quick just read my report on him. 2-year starter for the Bulldogs in their split safety scheme, where he lined up to the boundary and was an outstanding top-down defender. Great run defender in all areas, an extremely sound tackler. He was just an average athlete, which does cap his ceiling. But even if he had shown a bigger knack for big plays in college, I would be willing to forgive that because he's not a liability in coverage. Showed the ability to read routes from depth as a pattern match player, the ceiling as a good starter, but feel better about him as just a really good, solid starter just because of the lack of impact plays over the course of his career. I was not as high on him as others. During the pre-draft process, people were mocking him like mid-round 1 or late round 1. I just thought that he didn't quite make enough plays on the ball for me. I just thought he would be more of like a just solid, dependable player. Obviously, the injury. I mean, he suffered an injury over in London as a rookie that really kind of derailed his season, and just struggled to catch on in that new defensive scheme after that. So, they're banking that they can get something there, and maybe there is, but I don't know that you can. You certainly can't go.
You're
into
not
the
planning.
Season. Yeah, you're not planning.
Anything they get from him would be a pleasant surprise.
No question.
Yeah. Okay. We didn't talk much yesterday about the Oren Burks deal.
Yeah.
Touched on it at the little recap video that we did at the end of the day. By the way, check out the PHLY video channel. In addition to all these live shows, we are just gorging you on content. So check that stuff out. Oren Burks signs a 2-year, $5 million deal with the Cincinnati Bengals, $2.5 million a year. Was that something that you would have matched if you were the Eagles?
I think that this is another thing where they're turning to young guys. I think that's an endorsement for Jeremiah Trotter Jr. I think Jeremiah Trotter Jr. is someone who they factor into their plans. Now, they viewed Oren Burks when they signed him as a third linebacker / special teams player.
Best third linebacker in the league, Howie told Nick Sirianni.
Yes. And I don't know if it's the same role for Jeremiah Trotter Jr. I think Jeremiah Trotter Jr. might make sense as your Nakobe Dean replacement while Nakobe's coming back from injury. But when Nakobe's back, that might be a slot for Trotter. He's a different type of player than Oren Burks. But I don't think the Eagles were probably looking to spend money at that third linebacker spot this year.
Confirm or deny that you have offered to drive Oren Burks to Cincinnati?
Deny that. I enjoy Oren Burks, but
this is your dream, I thought.
I'm a little busy right now. A drive to Cincinnati. I looked it up actually. Not for this. When my plane. Okay, I see how that could be interpreted as it is. Do you remember after the Bengals game?
Yeah, I remember this.
I was stuck in this. I was stuck in the Cincinnati airport for like 8 hours, and I'm like, does it make sense just to rent a car and drive home? And so I had looked up how far it will be to drive from Cincinnati to Philly.
And what was the answer?
It's like 9 hours.
I would have done it.
You would have done it?
Yeah, I like a long drive.
But you're so inefficient when you're sitting in the car.
Of course. As if you're just sitting in the airport, you're getting
Work done. That's exactly what I did. Yeah. So right now,
you can find a way to be efficient in other ways.
Think of all the calls you could have made in the car.
Yeah, but right now I need time in front of my computer writing, and driving to Cincinnati would not be a prudent use of my time.
What if he
Poor
offered?
Oren
What
is
if
finally-
Oren was driving?
Oh, then yeah, I would love that. That'd be great. That'd be great. I could catch up with Oren.
So if Oren finally came through and said, Zach, I would like to do this road trip with you.
Yeah.
Let's go to Cincinnati. I'm going to need you to drive. You would turn him down because of the time of year?
Well, framed like that, that's hard to turn down because that's valuable bonding time with Oren.
Yeah. It's probably a story, too.
Probably, yeah. I mean, now I enjoy Oren Burks' company. I don't know if that's like a big, subscribe to allphly.com to read about my drive with Oren
Jeez,
Burks.
You keep crushing this guy. I thought you loved him.
I mean, well, let's not use the word love. I mean, I enjoy chatting with Oren Burks. I find him to be a nice guy, stand-up guy. He said the original question was the people I would drive to Florida with on the team. Oren Burks is among them. Yeah, I find him to be.
I thought he was at the top of your list.
Pretty sure he's number one.
Yeah.
No, I think I said Jalen. Yeah.
You did. Yeah, I think that might be right.
I definitely said Jalen. You give me if
he
Jalen's
just
stuck
wants
in the
to-
car
yeah.
with me for what is that, 20 hours?
That would be the
18
most
hours?
one-sided conversation that there has ever been.
I once had a conversation with Jalen on the phone where I said to him, the conversation was about how he learns from every interaction. Okay, have I ever told you this story? And I said to Jalen, so we're about like 15, 16 minutes in. And I said, what have you learned about this interaction? And he said that you ask a lot of questions. True story. I went back and listened to this interview last week. He said that you ask
That is the funniest
that
part.
you ask a lot of questions. And so it would probably be like that.
You would not have crossed the state line from Pennsylvania into Delaware before you said thanks for the no sell, Jalen. Like you making a joke of him just not responding.
Maybe you're probably right.
I don't know that you would talk to him that way. But, okay. My read on the Oren Burks thing is it's to me it is less about an endorsement of Jeremiah Trotter Jr. and more just Vic. We paid Zach Bond for you. We paid your linebacker. You're gonna have to figure out that other spot. We're gonna give you.
Yes.
We might sign a veteran for the veteran minimum. We might draft another guy on day 3. You got to figure it out until Nakobe Dean comes back. That is your job.
Do you take it the same way with Isaiah Rodgers and Keely Ringo?
I think it's a little bit different there.
Yeah.
I think they will add somebody of baseline competence in their eyes. Whereas at linebacker, I don't expect much. Jack Sanborn might be like the guy that they add.
Yeah.
You love yourself some
You
Jack
love
Sanborn.
a Sanborn.
Just keep bringing him up.
But yeah, no, I agree with Bo. I think $8 million guaranteed was probably more than they were looking to go with Rodgers. I do think they were interested in Rodgers, but that was a more robust market than maybe, certainly than I thought.
Let's check out the other super chats that we have here from Joe Rockhead. Oh no, we got the Lewisine one. Entrepreneur says CJGJ's comment to Travis Kelce about Taylor seemed mean-spirited. The hoodie was tactless, and with the Slade drama, Lurie likely made the call to trade him.
I don't think this came from the ownership level. I don't think.
No, but I also don't think that all of that stuff. This is like a triple negative. Was not a part of it. I think that all played into the decision.
It doesn't.
Don't
help.
you? It doesn't help.
Doesn't help.
Yeah.
Because you're thinking of, okay, if we are this far apart on contract terms, and this is probably going to turn into some kind of protracted thing, is this going to be a quiet deal or is this going to be a distraction? And I think they probably knew that it was going to be the latter.
Yes, you're right. You're right.
So I think that is definitely all part of it. Jake Makes, with a generous contribution, says, sorry I tuned in late. Apologies if this was already discussed. With Rodgers, Burks, Slay, and CJGJ gone, it's starting to feel empty in the backfield. Thoughts on what Howie is cooking?
Well, I think the only one on that list who maybe I did not plan on not being here, to use a double negative again, was CJ Gardner-Johnson, right? I mean, I did not expect Rodgers. I did not expect Slay to be back. I thought there was a chance Rodgers could leave unless it was a team-friendly deal, and I didn't think Burks was going to be back either. So, no, I don't think they are empty right now. I think there are young players, and then the draft is big for depth. And Bo's brought up an interesting point a few times that maybe the Eagles will lean more offense than we think, but they do have, at this point, 8 draft picks. And so, and they don't have any of those 6th, 7th rounders now. So a guy taken in the first 5 rounds, you're typically expecting to make the roster. And so I'm sure they'll navigate some, but they'll continue to add depth through the draft and then with bargain signings as the draft approaches.
Let's spin this back to Kenyon Green. I know you gave us your scouting report on him earlier, Fran, but just for the people coming in, this is a former 15th overall pick.
Yep.
Are we talking Mekhi Becton skill set, like Mammoth Man? Are we talking like Chance Warmack? Are we talking this selling point on him coming out was elite athleticism for the size or power?
Not as freakish as Mekhi Becton size-wise.
Never billed as a technician.
Never.
This is a guy who was always a ball of clay.
He is similar to Becton in that way, where it was always more like ball of clay, look at all the tools and the traits, but he's not refined. But Mekhi went 6th overall to the Jets. I think it was 6th overall because, just unique body type and size. This guy, Kenyon Green is very big. He's long. He is also a physical marvel. It goes, it's all contextual, right? It's all depends on who you ask. Like Kenyon Green is a large human being, and he is an impressive athlete for that size. More athletic than Chance Warmack. I think at the end of the day, when you're looking at Green, like he just has not developed in Houston and injury year 2 certainly had something to do with that. I did not peg him as someone that was going to be ready to come in and be a plug and play starter, which he was as a rookie. And then this year, from what I understand, like kind of talking with people and like reading between the lines with Houston, it was a lot of it was like a lot of the assignments and like the mental side of things for Houston was just they did not have their ducks in a row that way. They fired their offensive line coach, they fired their offensive coordinator. So I think that there was a lot there that they wanted to reimagine. And obviously by trading Tunsil and now trading Kenyon Green, they've made some changes there.
We spoke about Vic Fangio's sway with the defense. This is not a move that I imagine is made without Jeff Stoutland saying, I can work with that guy. Is that fair to say?
No question. And I'm sure, I had to think back if Kenyon Green came on a 30 visit.
He did.
So then Kenyon Green came on a 30 visit, so they had plenty of exposure to him. Jeff Stoutland, more than your average. Jeff Stoutland really loves the draft process. Like he loves so he is very much. Some coaches it's bottom of the totem pole and things that they love about the job. I will say Jeff Stoutland loves the draft process, talent acquisition, meeting with these players, working with these guys. That gives him so much energy and so much juice. So if they make a move like this, a lot of that will be Jeff Stoutland saying I remember building that relationship with him, and I would put my stamp of approval there.
He talks about the term critical factors, right? And that's what he looks for. And so Kenyon Green's someone who would fit that. And I do find it interesting. Stout has always talked in the past that he's like a college coach at heart, right? He loves developing players. And Kenyon Green was 20 when he was drafted. Okay, so just to put that in context, if he was in this draft, he would be 1 month older, just 1 month older than Tate Rutledge, who is one of the top guards in the draft.
Day 2 guard, for Georgia. Yep.
Anthony Belton, who is someone who is had been linked to the Eagles in the pre-draft process, was in the same high school class as Kenyon Green. So Kenyon Green going into year
also
4.
Younger than Tyler Steen.
Younger than Tyler Steen, exactly. So
Kenyon Green is younger than Tyler Steen is the new Keely Ringo is younger than Quinyon Mitchell.
Yeah. So you would think that when you talk about upside, there's still upside to be developed. And if, frankly, I don't think this is a stretch to say, if there's any offensive line coach in the NFL who's shown that he can develop someone with those critical factors, it's Jeff Stoutland.
Yeah.
Do you think they're done here with the O-line?
I don't think they bring back Beckham. I think the big question is swing tackle.
Yep.
Do they bring back Fred Johnson? Do they add someone? I think the draft is draft's gonna be interesting. What did I say something?
No, I it's not. This is my own making my.
When you smile, I feel like I butchered a name or I.
It just
Okay.
Beckham damn near killed him.
Oh, okay.
David Tomei. Oh, that's David. It's not David. Says, best senior prank ever. Bring in 3 cows numbered 1, 2, and 4. Everyone looks for a third one, and it's not even there. Pure chaos agency. There we go. Love that. We have another super chat. Dinkelberg is back. Bonding with Oren, a Zach Berman story. Mm-hmm. And then Fresh Prince. Can we get a playoff game update? Over under. Oh, yes. Zach, we have not told the listeners this
Oh,
yet. Everybody wants to know, how did the basketball playoff game go last night?
So funny story about this. It was not a playoff game. I get there and I said, they're like, I'm so surprised you're here in free agency. You know, I've missed like half the season because of the Super Bowl. And I'm like, well, it's the playoffs. I can't miss it. And they're like, no, this is a meaningless game because of the snow day. There was a snow day earlier this year. The whole schedule got moved back. And so the playoffs don't actually begin until next week. And so then I'm like, wait, so I'm here for a meaningless game? But no, it was.
And I could be driving around with Oren Burks.
We did not. I did not play well. We did not win. We played a good team. Tough game all around. I took 1 field goal attempt.
Okay.
Took a 3, missed it. Thought it was on. Actually, I felt good coming out of the hand.
Okay.
Thought it was on. But yeah, did not play. I turned over the ball too often. I'm not using the pancake analogy, but I had more floor burns than points last night.
Okay.
I had more floor burns than field goal attempts, I should say. I did dive for a few loose balls there.
Good for you.
And then I gotta say, I need some time. I need to keep using timeline because things hurt more this age than ever before. So I was coming around a screen and I was trying to fight my way through a screen, and I took a knee to my thigh.
Ooh,
right?
Charlie horse. That's brutal.
When I was younger, this would happen all the time. You just keep rolling with it, right? You keep.
You're getting Charlie horsed all the time?
Well, when you're short and you're coming around a screen, you often get like, you know.
I see what you
it's
mean.
like right there is where. So I've gotten a lot of knees to thighs playing basketball. But I tried, my first step out of bed this morning, I'm like, I was feeling it, man. And so I still am. I'm supposed to do F45 later, and like this, I'm feeling it right now.
You know what helps with that?
Timeline?
More sleep.
Oh, more sleep. Yeah. Last night was not a good night for that.
Well, we're rooting for you.
Thank you.
Let's take a quick break to hear from our sponsors, and then we'll come back, talk about some of the free agents who have not yet been signed. Are they on the Eagles' radar? At Ace Hardware Home Services, whenever they get ready for the next job, they remember everything to bring. And in addition to the tools and the hardware they're going to need to help fix your stuff, they're bringing 3 key things. Number 1, they bring experience. Local plumbers and techs who handle everything from repairs and seasonal maintenance to installations and upgrades. Number 2, they bring understanding. They listen to your goals, and the job isn't completed until you are satisfied. And number 3, they bring helpful to your home, so you can spend more of your time on the projects that really matter. Free estimates on equipment installation and replacement with trusted advisors and options that are best suited for your home and budget. Service you can trust and satisfaction guaranteed. Ace Hardware Home Services are local. Their teams live and serve in your community and are dedicated to keeping their neighbors comfortable in their home. Visit Ace Hardware Home Services online at acehardwarehomeservices.com to get started on your next project.
Let's hear from our friends now at Shady Rays, because it is going up to the mid 60s, the high 60s this weekend. It's starting to feel like spring. It's starting to feel like summer. And so with that in mind, our friends at Shady Rays are helping you get in the right frame of mind with their premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses. I don't even know who that was supposed to be. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company offering a world-class product rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people, 7 of which are the different personalities of the man to my right. Their sunglasses have durable frames and crystal clear optics, making them the perfect choice for all outdoor adventures. If you are a skier or a snowboarder, you've been up in the mountains over the course of the winter, Shady Rays had you covered with brand new collections of snow goggles to help you see clearly and look good going down those slopes, available in both adult and kid sizes. And with so many colors available, you know you're going to find a pair that's perfect for you. Maybe one of those Eagles green shades. You know you'll be able to find it with Shady Rays. It'll also come in handy whenever you're planning your summer vacation. So if you're going to the beach, if you're going to the mountains, if you're going camping, whatever you need, Shady Rays has you covered. And if your shades ever go missing or take that unexpected hit, maybe they catch a knee while you're playing basketball, don't sweat it. They have the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair is backed by their lost or broken replacement program. If you do not love your shades, exchange for a new pair or return worry-free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. Their team always has your back with personal and fast support. PHLY viewers and listeners, go to shadyrays.com and save 35% off polarized sunglasses with code PHLY. Again, over 300,000 people have rated Shady Rays 5 stars, so use code PHLY today at shadyrays.com.
All right. I have here the players who were in Quacketology, who are still unsigned. I want you to give me, I'm going to run down this list. I want you to give me you think the Eagles are monitoring this situation closely? You think the Eagles will check in next week? Or you think the Eagles say, lose this number? We're not interested.
That's kind of cold. No, I'm joking.
Okay.
But, yeah.
Matthew Judon.
Lose this number.
Probably monitor.
Check in next week?
Check in next week. Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
The Maniac, Dennis Gardeck.
Monitor.
What's the age profile?
He's like 30.
Lose this number.
Okay. Tony Nelson, Anthony Nelson.
Monitor.
Lose this number.
Joe Tryon Shoyinka. He did?
Oh.
Who did he sign with? Oh.
Sorry.
The show has ground to a halt.
Joe Tryon is going to the Browns.
Wow.
$4.75 million.
Wanted to play with Kenny Pickett.
There you go.
1 year, 4.75?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Cross him off.
So lose this number.
Yeah.
Aziz Ojolari.
Yeah, I think that's one that they are closely monitoring.
Yep.
Or like, what's the first option?
You closely monitoring.
Closely monitoring. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Jack Sanborn.
Check back next week.
Yeah, check back.
Asante Samuel Jr.
Closely monitoring.
Check back.
Kaiser White.
Suppose check back.
Yeah, check back.
Levi Onwuzurike.
I
mean, given all the money they're about to have to pay,
Yeah.
they're not going to do a multi-year
Agreed.
deal for a
Right.
defensive tackle.
Agree.
Right? Benjamin Santa-Rosa.
Probably lose this number.
I'll defer to Franzi Val.
I just like my guess is he's going to get.
Oublié. Set. I got nothing.
Numbre.
Nombre. Oublié. Set nombre. Oublié mon nombre.
What he said.
No. Eric Stokes.
Check back next week.
Sure.
Jedrick Wills. This probably, Kenyon Green is Jedrick Wills.
I think so. Yep.
Brandon Scherf.
Same.
Elijah Moore.
Check back next week.
Yeah.
Nelson Aguilar.
Lose this number.
Raheem Mostert.
Check back next week.
Joey Bosa.
I think he's
San Fran or Miami.
San Francisco. Yeah. So
Michael Mayer. That's a different situation.
Let's keep calling.
And then Draymond Jones.
Keep calling. Yeah.
yeah, I think so.
Can I play a game with you? No.
Always.
With you guys.
Yeah.
So I believe Kenyon Green is the 5th player from the 2022 first round that the Eagles have added to their roster.
Okay.
They've added Kenny Pickett, They added Jahan Dotson. They added Lewis Cine. They have Jordan Davis. Now they have Kenyon Green.
Yeah.
And so if I go down this list here.
Who's next?
Who's next?
Well, yeah, who could they trade for? I mean, outside of like players who've already been cut. Because this is a market that they tend to look at. And the reason why this is also relevant is teams need to decide, are they picking up the fifth-year option on these guys?
Yeah.
And if they're not, they might be apt to trade them, okay? Trayvon
Listen,
Walker.
the Eagles they've scratched this itch. You know, when you scratch an itch, it just becomes itchier. So they're gonna want more.
Trayvon Walker.
I do actually think that is possible. I think they would love that. Would be they would like to make that call.
Aiden Hutchinson's not happening. Derek Stingley's not happening.
Yep.
Sauce Gardner's not happening. Kayvon Thibodeau.
Not happening.
Not happening. Ike Ekwonu.
Maybe he's next year's version. We'll see the steps he made steps in the right direction this year for Carolina. So we'll see if he continues to develop.
Evan Neal, who's lost his job, but probably not introduced.
But could be next year's version.
Drake London, not happening. Charles Cross.
Probably not.
Yeah, not
I
happening.
think he's
Garrett Wilson, not happening. Chris Olave, not happening. Jameson Williams, not happening. I imagine.
Probably not.
And Jordan Davis, Kyle Hamilton, not happening. Kenyon Green, John. This is funny. They had the 13th, 15th, and 16th pick from that year. Jordan Davis is 13. Kenyon Green's 15. Jahan Dotson 16.
Yeah, they missed the one good, really good player.
Zion Johnson.
He looks like he's going to be moving. There was some scuttlebutt that he could move to center, but then they re-signed Bradley Bozeman, so we'll see.
Traylon Burks.
Could happen.
Yeah,
I doubt it, but it can happen.
Right. Yep.
Trevor Penning.
Stinks.
They're not bringing him here. Yeah.
Trent McDuffie, not happening.
No.
Quay Walker.
I think that Green Bay is going to extend Walker.
Okay.
So that would be my guess.
Kyer Elam.
He's just not good.
Tyler Smith, not happening. Tyler Lindenblum, not happening. Jermaine Johnson, not happening. Devin Lloyd.
No.
Devontae Wyatt.
Possible, but I just feel like it'll be so crowded in that D tackle room, so I would say no.
Cole Strange.
No.
George Karlaftis, not happening.
Right.
This is an interesting one. Daxton Hill.
It is an interesting one.
Yeah. That's an interesting one.
I think that if the Eagles were running a different scheme, I would say yes. I don't know if he's a good fit for a Fangio scheme.
That's it?
Yeah, and then Lewis Cine is 32.
At 32.
Okay.
That was
Those are
fun.
good
I
ones.
like that one.
That's an odd number of first-round picks from that draft. 5 from that draft who've come through.
Leonard Floyd was released today.
Yes.
32 years old, coming off an 8.5 sack season. He had 10.5 the year before that. He's had at least 8.5 sacks in each of the last 5 seasons. I mean, he's 32, but is that the kind of guy who you would add?
Where do you go to school?
Georgia.
Yeah, I mean, like
way before all the rest
decades
of these
ago.
guys. Yeah, he would. I think he's an interesting one to monitor. He does a little bit of everything in terms of being able to drop back in coverage. He's never been like a plus run defender, but he'll give you better snaps there than what Bryce Huff was showing. If they were to find a way to move on from Huff.
Only became reliably good after he left Vic Fangio.
Right.
After leaving Chicago.
Right.
But
yeah.
okay. Anything around the league that has piqued your interest over the past 27 hours?
Yeah, the New York Giants.
Everybody step aside. Zach's got to get something off his chest.
Yeah, no, Joe Shane
Let's get that solo shot on him.
Joe Shane's running a contender over there in East Rutherford, New Jersey, right? So Saquon Barkley, last year, that $13 million a year, they weren't at the right stage for that. But now let me tell you, now that they had Malik Neighbors and Tyrone Tracy, they're ready to compete. So Darius Slayton, come on down, $13 million a year. Xavier McKinney last year is a 24-year-old safety. Now you know what? Too much to spend for a safety. But you know what? Javon Holland this year, come on down. We're ready to spend big money on a safety. So look, I get it. You can learn from your mistakes. And he is competing I think he is GMing for his job right now. But it just strikes me as just odd team building that you let your probably 2 of your 4 best homegrown players of the past 10 years leave last year for
well
nothing.
said.
For nothing. I mean, Dexter Lawrence is a really good player. Andrew Thomas is a really good player. But you let these 2 guys leave for nothing. and then you sign a skill player for $13 million a year this year. You sign a safety for big money this year. It's just it's odd GMing to me.
Do you think they talked about that internally? That you know what, maybe we need to make this this Darius Slayton contract just a little bit different from Saquon Barkley's, just so that people don't draw this parallel.
You know what? Even like the Giants reporters were like mystified by that, and usually Giants reporters aren't really mystified by that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But apparently, he's very popular in the locker room, so this goes over well. But yeah, that when I saw that Slayton contract, I was like, really?
I mean, Tutu Atwell got $10 million a year, so him getting $12 million is not that surprising. He's done a little bit more. I was just shocked that he went back there because there's been so much he was like getting out of the lineup.
Yeah.
He's been there for a while, and it's very strange.
Yeah, so that of the league moves that stood out to me. The Daniel Jones, Anthony Richardson thing. I expected them to do that. I like what Minnesota's doing. I got to be honest with you. I like Jonathan Allen still. Thought that was a good move. I think they're putting together a decent. Now Will Fries, they spent a lot of money on him. Full sentence All-Star, but. He's probably the top guard on the market. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, but he played like half a season last year. It says a lot about.
I like them investing their offensive and defensive lines when they have this rookie quarterback.
San Francisco moving on from Juszczyk, and they continue to cut. I mean, they cut Leonard Floyd today, as we mentioned. That one's interesting. So you haven't listened to this yet, but Bo brought up an interesting marriage on the PHLY draft show a couple hours ago. Tyler Warren to the San Francisco 49ers. What do you think?
Ooh. Yeah, I mean, he likes playing 12 personnel, right?
Yeah.
I can see that. Okay.
I like that.
I like that.
You heard it here first.
It's a sneaky fit. I like that one.
Yeah. Why not? No, it is Tyler Warren, not Warren Tyler.
It is Tyler Warren.
Okay. What else is going on?
You tell me.
I don't know. Are we going to get new? I want news, man. Let's go. It's been like 3 hours.
What's going to happen is we're going to get off,
right.
And then we're going to get off the show, and then there's going to be careful here, and then there's going to be about 10 minutes later there will be news.
So talk about a free agency frenzy. We will be here for no matter what happens. If there's breaking news, we will go live. Emergency pod, the most fun thing to do.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I have bad news for you.
For me?
Yeah.
And who did Anthony Nelson sign with?
Back to the Bucks. 2 years, $10 million, max of $12 million.
Ooh, that tells you.
Yeah.
They like him.
Didn't want to look a gift horse in the mouth.
By the way, Jason Light has a good PR agent. You're seeing I'm seeing all these tweets now. Most underrated GM in football, Jason Light. Have you seen these?
I haven't seen those.
You seen this? You heard about this?
I haven't seen those. That was a pretty bad Leno.
It was a bad Leno.
It was bad Leno.
Here, I just Googled Dan Orlovsky. This says 255,000 impressions.
No, Jay, that's crazy, Jay.
There's not a more underrated executive in football than Buccaneers GM Jason Light. Trevor Sikkema. Been saying this for a while now. If Jason Light isn't in your top 3 NFL GMs list, the list is wrong.
I think he is a good GM.
Yeah, but
I've come around on Jason Light. I used to continuously bang him for the Robert Aguayo pick, which I think was probably more of an owner pick. I have learned after the fact. So I think Jason Light has probably done
I didn't know that.
more. He has built teams in different ways in different parts of the cycle, I think, than a lot of other GMs.
I like Jason Light. I would, top 3 GM, probably a little bit rich, but yeah, he's a good GM.
Who would be your top 3?
I'd have to. I don't even want to try it because I don't want to be like anchored to that later and have to relitigate things. But maybe that's a summer show.
Okay. Are we talking about in professional sports or in the NFL?
NFL.
I would only do NFL.
Okay. So in no particular order.
Okay.
I would go, Brett Veach.
Thanks for watching on Fast. Check out allphly.com to find out Zach Berman's top 3 general managers.
Man, Brett Veach is in the top 3?
I mean, I think Brett Veach has done, I know Andy gets the credit, but he's retooled that team. He made a bold move trading Tyreek Hill. Now, it's easy. I don't want to say easy, but when you have Patrick Mahomes, that's a big part of your winning. But I think he's bold, which I'd like to see.
Yeah.
He's drafted well for the most part. Everyone has misses, but I thought the McDuffie Karlaftis draft was a good haul. Now he's taken some character risks, right? But I thought Rashee Rice was a good pick in terms of like the player. So Howie is the top 3 GM. And then I'm debating between Les Snead and Brad Holmes. I'm probably going to go Brad Holmes because I think Brad Holmes had a harder job, and Les Snead's had a long runway, right? There were some bad teams there before, and I think he's done a good job. I think Brad Holmes, from what he inherited in Detroit to what he's turned that into, I give him a lot of credit.
Okay, that's tough to argue.
But I would have to kind of go through all the GMs, but those are 3 that jump to mind.
Okay, so you're not putting Light in your top 3.
I'm not putting Light in my top 3. I like Eric DeCosta. I think he's done a good job. Just kind of going through GMs here.
I'm surprised you don't have Adam Peters in your top 3.
Why?
Well, he knows Bob Myers.
Bob Myers is a heck of a GM. That is true. He does know Bob Myers. I've always been a big Quessy guy. He's not top 3, but I would watch out for Quessy. That's probably I can give you a bottom 3, but
yeah, I want to hear the bottom.
Yeah, I'd love to hear the bottom 3.
I would say Joe Shane.
The other
Dan Morgan.
Yep.
Two guys that you have crushed.
And then, what do you think here? Terry Fontenot.
Oh, I actually kind of like a Terry Fontenot.
Okay. If you have top 10 picks for 4 consecutive years, you don't take anyone on the every year. There's a passer that it's like, is this the year they're going to address the pass rush?
Yeah.
Is this the year they're going to address the offensive line? And look, I love Kyle Pitts.
I was just gonna say
I love Kyle Pitts, but you go Kyle Pitts, then you go Drake London, and then you go Michael Penix when you could have traded back potential after you give the money to Kirk Cousins, and I don't know ownership's role in that, but I would have to do more work to say this definitively.
Okay, well, that was interesting.
What's that?
Yeah.
It's hard, Yeah,
the Cowboys are a weird one.
Yeah,
it's tough.
They do draft well. No, that's Will McClay.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Jinx. I like Will McClay.
Yeah.
Where's Chris Ballard on your list?
Talk about a good PR agent right now. Chris Ballard is probably
just pick a number with a 23rd,
17, 18.
Okay.
That's okay.
Okay.
You do you ever seen those blind ranking videos?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. You can do that with NFL GMs.
I'm going to do it for you right now. Hold on.
See Miles Sanders got released?
I did.
Yeah. Lose number? Lose your number?
Oh, lose your number? I was like, did he lose my number?
No, I was like, do you think the Eagles...
do you think piss Miles off that much?
Do you think the Eagles would say lose your number? Or,
no, I know. I think that's a fine conversation to have.
Do you think Miles would come back to be
no,
Saquon Barkley's
so.
backup?
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so.
All right, Zach.
Yes.
1 to 10.
Oh, wow.
These GMs,
10.
okay? We're going to go 1 to 10. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, I'm starting. You know the concept of the blind ranking?
Explain it to me.
I'm going to say a general manager, and you're going to rank these general managers 1 to 10, but you are never allowed to change their number.
Oh, and I don't know who else is on the
you don't
rails.
know who's coming.
Yeah.
This is a tough game.
It's a fun game.
Am I being I'm anchored to this? Like this is
Yeah,
okay.
I'm not going to make fun of you for
Okay,
it or anything
okay.
like that.
No,
Just-
sure you
just to see-
Sure you are.
Just to see how this
Immortal last words.
just to see how this turns out.
Okay.
Okay. Adam Berry.
Well, he's not a GM, but Andrew is.
Sorry, Andrew Berry.
Sorry. 7.
Wow, 7. I was talking to somebody at the comment, if Andrew Berry, if they fired that staff, I would say Andrew Berry would get rehired in,
Yeah.
but you got him at 7.
I like Andrew Berry. So that's too low in this then? Okay, yeah, because there's only 10
probably.
cat. Okay.
No, you said 7.
Yeah.
No, here,
Sorry,
let me
you're
change.
lying.
No, let me change this right now.
All right.
I'm going 4 for Andrew Berry.
Okay.
That's fair.
I think he's done a good job. I don't think Deshaun was on him.
Yeah.
Chris Ballard.
7.
John Lynch.
5.
Interesting.
Okay.
Brandon Bean.
3.
It's good. I would have done the same thing.
Chris Greer.
8.
I can't wait to see who he has as the 10th person.
Yeah, I'm gonna be stuck. It's gonna be like Howie 10, and then Howie's gonna hear this.
Brian Gutekunst.
What number? I don't even know what
You
numbers
have
I
1,
have.
2, 6, 9, and 10 available.
Oof. Let's go 2.
Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah.
Oh God. Man, I like Quessy. 6. Quessy. He's from right over there in Cherry Hill.
That way.
Went to Princeton, so you know he's smart.
Jerry Jones.
What do I have left?
1, 9, and 10.
9.
Devious
Monty.
smile.
Monty
Austin for
Ford.
10.
I don't have. It's not that exciting.
Okay, who's 1?
Who's one?
The devil himself. John Schneider.
All right, fine.
That's not bad. That could have been worse.
Yeah, could have been worse. Super Bowl winner.
Here we go.
All right, so you go Schneider, Gutekunst, Bean, Barry, Lynch, Kwesi, Ballard, Greer, Jones, Monty.
That's not terrible.
That's
That's
not
not
terrible.
that's
Yeah,
not
that's
bad.
not
pretty
terrible. Yeah.
10 is a huge
You thought Howie
scope.
was coming.
I thought Howie was coming. Yeah.
But you were saving one for Howie. So
And by the way, if Howie's 10, he gets sent that clip, man, and I'm hearing that.
if he's 10,
Yeah.
well,
if
you
he's-
wouldn't get.
If he's 10th of 10, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. But I think he would have understood.
Do you think Howie? Let me explain to you the concept of this game
Have you ever seen these blind ranking videos?
because he's really interested in having me explain everything to him. Right? He's like, Zach, I have a lot of time for this conversation. Go on.
Fran, I'm going to do quarterbacks with you right now.
Okay, yeah.
Sam Darnold.
7. This is just starting quarterbacks?
Yes.
Okay.
Michael Penix Jr.
8.
Josh Allen.
1.
Patrick Mahomes.
2.
Baker Mayfield.
6.
Jalen Hurts.
3.
Bo Nix. You have 4, 5, 9, and 10 available.
5.
Wow. Derek Carr.
10.
Dak Prescott.
4.
Wow.
Yeah.
Number 9 is the only one left for Tanner McKee.
There we go. I actually feel good about that. I would take Tanner McKee over Derek Carr.
Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott, Bo Nix, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Michael Penix, Tanner McKee, Derek Carr. That's
take
not
that.
terrible.
Yeah.
I think Nix is a little high, but that's
Yeah.
okay.
But I feel good about how it
Yeah,
rolled
that
out.
wasn't bad. All
Do you
right.
think Kellen Moore would take Tanner McKee over Derek Carr?
Yes,
Yes, I do.
I think so too.
I do.
Feel good about that.
certainly with the cost.
Yeah.
Yeah. 5 myths about bears that, Julia is bringing up. Bears can run.
They can
downhill.
run downhill.
Okay.
What was the bear thing from the season that you guys kept going back and forth about for like a week?
We do a lot of shows.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
There was a bear.
There was a bear.
Bears.
Oh, it was something a bear playing like what player is most comparable to a bear? Is that what
no,
it
the
was?
tails.
The tails.
The tails was a different. That I remember.
No, there was a bear thing. There was a bear thing because I remember I had a bear story that I couldn't tell on the air.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Right.
And kids, this is why you go to journalism school.
Yeah. Right.
What's the bear thing? Anybody in the chat remember what the bear thing was?
No, there was a.
I know about the
TN
Chicago
said,
Bears.
I think it was just
I
a
don't know.
favorite bear. What your favorite bear was?
Oh, yeah, maybe it was that.
You don't have to run faster than the bear. You just have to run faster than your friend.
I used to
Is
say that.
one, yeah. You used to say that.
My grandfather always taught me that. That's one of those stories I remember. My grandfather told me all the time.
I believe you.
Yeah.
What's your favorite?
Oh,
bear?
that is. It was just what's your favorite bear?
Oh.
That's right. And you. I think you bristled at the notion you were supposed to know more than one kind of bear.
Yes. Sounds about right.
Oh yeah, because you said what was the mascot that you pointed to?
When the brown,
I think it was. I think it was
the main
Yeah,
black
there was
bear.
Maine.
Oh, that's
Like
right.
that.
The University of Maine.
Oh,
That's what it was.
Black
Yeah.
Bears, yes. And I said you
you were
should like the
you
Black
should-
Bears. You're like, well, and you were like offended because I associated you with Maine because your wife is from Maine.
No, it's not that I.
Yeah.
Wasn't the effect? It wasn't that. It was just like the idea that like that would mean something to me. That the University of Maine's mascot would mean I have some affinity for it.
There you
They
go.
love black bears in Maine.
They love them.
No, they don't.
They love black bear.
Let me see one thing. Hold on.
Yeah, ask Google. Do people in Maine love
That's
black
not what
bears?
I'm saying. I was seeing what the official animal of Maine is, but it's actually the moose.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yes. Okay. I think we satisfied our contractual obligation for this show.
Biding time to see if more news comes across the wire.
It has been a quiet.
I actually
news
think it's
period.
more effective if we wrap the show up now, and if because you get a whole new set of viewers for the emergency show.
Yeah, it's not effective in terms of pleasing the audience. More effective in terms of juking the numbers. But yeah,
It's juicing the numbers.
It's the Les Bowen. I'm going to go for a walk because that will mean that
Gotcha.
news is coming.
There you go. All right. That'll do it for this episode of the PHLY Eagles podcast. We'll be here. If news breaks the rest of the day, rest assured we will be ready for an emergency pod. And check out all the other content on not only the PHLY YouTube page, but allphly.com. A great time to be a die-hard introductory deal. 36 hours, $36 for the entire year. A super chat in just before the buzzer. CDP, who are the 3 worst NFL GMs? I think we got your list, Zach. So you not only satisfied the contractual obligations, you satisfied CDP.
Thank you, CDP.
He should be thanking you. We will talk to you later. And as always, we love you.
We all silly like the mayor.